So this week we took the Grand Tour to Batumi in the...
Get out of the way!
Eventually, we decided to stop arguing.
Get a bloody move on!
The DBS's true colours started to shine through. This is by far the most powerful car here, and the lightest, and the most sort of aggressive. And yet, it just glides along in GT mode, which I'm in now, Grand Touring mode. It's like a hovercraft. Right, there's a small difference there between the DB11 and this. I'm afraid you're going to have to face facts, both of you. You're in wheelbarrows, and I'm in a spaceship.
Ah, an old man imagining he's James Bond.
Let's do this.
A hint of massive power waiting. 626 horsepower under my right foot.
Simply 3.4 seconds, which is absolutely mind-boggling in a car this big.
But a GT car, first and foremost, it's got to be a nice place to be because, by definition, you're going to spend a lot of time in it. And this is a fine place to be. This finish on the center console, this metal here, is aluminium that's been milled in the same way that they mill aluminium inserts in the back of expensive watches. If I press this button here, I can rotate between my different screens. Oh! Analog dials and clocks in the center of the dash. Thank you.
The problem for me with the Bentley and the Aston is
Get a bloody move on!
heritage and the meaning of tradition, and it's all just nonsense, really. Actually, if you want to talk about heritage and tradition, then the BMW has the strongest, still made in Munich by the same company. It has a 4.4-litre twin-turbocharged V8 developing 523 horsepower. It also has four-wheel drive, rear-wheel steering, and adaptive anti-roll bars. It has an 8-speed gearbox. It's not twin clutch, but it is flappy paddle, and it is very sharp. of brakes. Forward. This is a proper car. Not tinsel.
Even though our cars didn't recognise Georgia as a country, we soon arrived in the town of Gori, the birthplace of Joseph Stalin. Outside, we checked out the statue of Stalin, which that night caused a debate between, well, two of us.
The man who beat Hitler is from your town, so obviously, as they have done, you put up a statue to him.
Get out of the way.
The next morning,
Let's do this.
Nigel Mansell's head gets in the way of road signs, and I have to sort of crane round him to see them, and I don't want to miss them.
Oh, for God's sake. It's what we need. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, for God's sake. Oh, my God.
having parted company with James's fan club, we eventually arrived at the racetrack. Built in the days of communism, it hosted some terrible and boring races until the Soviet Union and it fell apart. A few years ago, though...
Here we go!
Oh, look at this. Drifting with the traction control off. first Aston I've ever driven that felt good on a track.
Hurry up!
Ah, Richard Hammond driving around in Chatsworth House here.
That was a mistake. That was a massive mistake.
Go on, then.
Look at that for a tiny line.
Meanwhile, in the BMW, I too had been leaning on the electronics.
Previously on the road, I had this set up in my version of Sport, which you can program.
Let's do this.
But now, I have it in Sport Plus.
It's out of the way.
The four-wheel steering and the 8 Series is exactly what you'd expect.
It's easy. It's a BMW. It feels like a BMW.
It's so easy, in fact, that while going past the pits, I noticed.
Here we go!
Eventually, we pitted to see how we...
Get a bloody move on.
Go on, then.
Right. I've seen how fast you can go.
Hurry up!
Thing is, this is quite an interesting test because...
Out of the way.
I don't need a WAS. I don't need a WAS.
Away!
Concentrate, look through the bend. This is quite a complicated one. faster. Oh God, it's interfering.
Come on. Come on.
Get a bloody move on. Let's do this.
Oh, it's worse going through the corners because it all sloshes to one side.
Try it now.
Oh God.
This bit is really scary. That'll do. Just, can't run. It's gonna happen. What? Who's in there?
I'm
James!
a bugger off, I'm having a waz.
Hurry up!
I'm having a waz.
Hurry up!
Hurry up!
Here we go!
And decided to test the boot space in our Grand Tour.
Hurry up!
How much is the record player?
We'll do a selfie.
I love the way that they've captured the lustfulness of the lady dog and the wistfulness of James.
Wait!
So you've got two giant Norks.
Yep. A guitar and a clock, and I'm very pleased with the purchases. What's...
Here we go!
Yes.
I wouldn't call it a leather pouch.
Anyway, the interesting thing about the Aston Martin is... I've got quite a lot to say.
I need to get out now.
At this point, James came back after a very ambitious shopping trip.
Could you hold the porcupine, please? Yak goes in first.
How big is that boot?
It is actually really big.
It's unnecessarily big,
It's too much boot.
It's a Grand Tourer. It's for taking luggage, as you said only the other day. His master's voice will go there, and then the Spanish man of war.
I then came up with a plan.
Get a bloody move on.
With our souvenirs loaded up, we got...
Get out of the way.
Didn't like that at all. Away. Rubbish. Ow. Thank you very much. Hey. Oh no! Behold, I have become straight lane.
At the next town, May and I wanted to pull over. And Hammond didn't.
It was all very nice jollying around, but these are GT cars. We've got to cover miles in them. We've got miles to go. We need to get a move on.
The town, however, was called Ganja. So obviously May and I wanted to experience...
Here we go!
Can we stop stopping off to look at things?
Hurry up! Let's move it.
This escapade.
2, 1, begin. Go. Bugger off. Oh! Oh, God. For God's sake. That's the
offence, Abby, but you're not having it.
The finish line at the Garden of Paradise was close. And as we entered the outskirts, the patio of paradise, Abby was in sight.
Get a bloody move on.
Oh, my word.
Here we go!
Eventually, Hammond and I found Abby.
Let's do this.
Unrealistic real-world test out of the way. We continued heading east.
Shut up. Seriously?
Okay, let's do this. What a... Okay, problem sorted. There we go. This is a bad time to be lost. Oh my God. All the things a car has to excel at to be a good GT car. Luxury, comfort, power, style, make for just a good car of any sort. And this new Bentley Continental GT is a very, very, very good GT car. I'm gonna say it.
Hurry up! Get a bloody move on.
Smooth, it's quiet, it's unobtrusive, but then you just knock it down a few and give it a bit of shoot. There we go. Right then, let's go. It becomes sonorous, its voice becomes more heartfelt, and it tingles through the steering wheel and through my buttocks. It's lovely. And
Get out of the way. Let's do this. Here we go!
It gives us a chance at least to say how good GT car.
Hurry up!
And on that terrible disappointment for him, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.